Welcome to Bonehead. That was our intro. Welcome to Bonehead. I'm Joe Lewis.
Tater tots.
Spot. James.
And we have a special... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, James. I'll now have to hear about it from the Twittersphere that we wouldn't let James speak. And with us today, we have Ken Boggle. Yay!
Hi.
This is our... you're popping our guest cherry. And what I mean by that is that you are the first guest we've ever had.
I could understand.
Why?
Your excitement level.
Yeah.
You know, to have me here is just a really big honor.
It's the hat.
It is obviously
And
the
those
hat.
shoes.
Well, they are amazing shoes.
I have
this-
not seen the shoes yet.
Those are pretty
nice.
Those are really,
shoes.
those
Yeah.
are really nice
If you're
shoes.
listening to this on a podcast, they're amazing.
They are
They're
pretty
amazing.
great.
And his hat's cool, too.
It is pretty cool.
Joe didn't even bother
That's
to
true.
wear shoes.
I did not. I've got the Fred Flintstone feet all out and about. We're also joined today by Haley, our beautiful producer behind the scenes.
What voice was that?
I don't know. I wanted to make it really creepy.
I am creeped out.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you're creeped out.
That's an appropriate response.
Oh, by the way, energy drink kicked in.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I changed shorts. I didn't change shirt, but I changed shorts. Did you guys
No,
notice?
you changed shirts too. That wasn't the shirt you had on when I came in.
No, but
No,
it's
but-
a different. It's the same shirt I wear for every one.
Okay.
People keep making comments, and now I want to wear it even more.
You want to marry it?
Marry it, I do. You gonna marry that shirt?
Who's the groom?
If you love it.
the shirt or you?
The shirt. Definitely the shirt.
We know you can't.
I can't
wear
imagine
line
that
in the
shirt
wedding,
wearing.
though.
The main reason I ask is because if the shirt's wearing a tux, doesn't that make it? You won't be able to see the shirt. Can we get on with the show? This is running.
Anyway, the thing is that we've had Ken Boggle on today.
Yes.
Ken is famous. What are you famous for?
Being a celebrity tarot reader to the stars.
Celebrity tarot reader to the stars. Now, we have some interesting conversations that we're going to have later on in the show. We're going to talk about movies that have tarot scenes, some occult stuff, how some of it is actual and some of it factual, I should say, and some of it's complete.
Dramatic effect. I mean, it's.
I was going with
fictionalized.
bullshit.
Well, I was
Can I
trying
say
to
horse
be.
shit?
Well, I don't think it matters what animal the feces came from, Joe. It's crap.
It does to me. It does to me. It does to me. So
I'm sorry.
Into
Expert
the one
on
that
animal.
cleans it up. Into the one
So
that cleans
let's
it
go ahead and I want to ask you the same question I asked you earlier before the show started, and the other two boneheads chime in. How did you know you had this gift? At what point did you decide this is a gift I have and I need to cultivate it?
up. I was 8, so it was 25 years ago.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I was.
Let me do his math of how old he is.
Yeah, 33.
I'm older than you.
Yeah, well, so many are.
Well, lucky ones.
I'm so
Lucky
glad we
ones.
found the one smartass out there to come onto the show.
But when I was a kid, there were just things that you couldn't explain, things that I would know that I really should have no access to.
Like algebra.
Well, no, I was terrible at math.
Yeah, same here.
I'm still bad at math. But I don't
Calculus.
get paid to do equations. I get paid
Yes,
to know
Joe.
stuff. So.
Why don't you list every form of math there is? Go
That's the
ahead.
only two I know.
Sorry, Ken. Continue.
Totally fine. So, but yeah, I would read. My grandmother taught me to read coffee grounds, and she taught me to read various different things like nature. And my Aunt Caroline came in with a deck of poker cards, taught me how to read fortunes for my sisters and my mom.
Wow.
With a poker cards?
Yeah, bicycle poker deck.
Really?
And then I bought my first tarot deck as a kid and started reading for family and friends. And that's how I got started. 25 years.
Wow.
Long time.
That's a
By the
long
way,
time.
I laughed because for some reason bicycle poker deck just made me laugh.
I know. You got the 4 of spades, son. You're going to die.
No, if you slip bicycle poker deck, and then never mind.
You made fun of my
Is he having
arithmetic
a-
joke.
Is he having a fit?
Is this
Yes.
an energy
Yes.
drink?
This is
Yeah,
what
energy
happens when I
drink.
drink energy
That's
drinks.
You remember when
happened.
we was talking about the tumor he had?
Oh, no.
It's my whole head.
It is. It is. It is cognizant. Anyway, well, that's interesting. So, how long have you been doing it professionally?
But professionally, 3 years.
For a living.
For a living, 3 years.
wow.
So you make a living doing it.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. And even though I don't particularly, 2 out of the 3 boneheads don't believe in it, I don't want to talk about the third bonehead who may or may not believe in it. I don't want to put words into James's mouth. But Did I just out James?
A little
No,
bit.
it's
think
fine.
so.
I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable. I'm good.
I just admire you being able to do that. That you've taken something that you have a passion for and you've been able to make a living out of it. It's great. It's something the Boneheads have yet to be able to do.
Well, it's not easy, you know. It's taken me 3 years to get to the point where I've been able to generate an income that's sustainable, you know, that sustains my life and these things. And my husband's been really instrumental in supporting me in the time that it wasn't making that.
And
much
he's
money.
right off camera, right over
He
here.
always
But
is.
he doesn't want to come into the shot,
Right.
even though he was invited to be
Yeah.
right here with us.
He doesn't do that. He just makes sure that I'm in front of the camera, and then that's how that works out.
He can yell
Well,
hi if he wants to.
It's something that. Well,
Everybody.
he did have a couple of our donuts, so
Yeah.
we do appreciate. He's
He
really
loves a Krispy
skinny.
Kreme.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so let's start talking about some of the movies, and Chad, help me out here as far as ones that are accurate and inaccurate. So let's throw out. You want to throw out a title?
No, you go first.
Okay. Well, the one I have is The Gift, and I don't think you said you've seen.
No,
it.
I have. Yeah,
You've
I've
seen The
that.
Gift.
Yeah.
Well, interesting thing about The Gift is it's directed by Sam Raimi, but it's written by Billy Bob Thornton, and Billy Bob Thornton's it's basically based loosely on his mother,
See, I had no idea that.
who
was
who
true.
had those kinds of gifts.
That's
And
unbelievable.
I think it's fascinating too, and he based it loosely on his mother, who was able to kind of see into the future, who had the ability to feel, to sense, who had whatever ESP thing, and I just was wondering if you knew all that.
Well, see, I didn't know anything about the film being written about Billy Bob's mother and all this. But I have seen the film, and I'm going to tell you how true to life some of that is.
Okay.
You sometimes get involved in situations where your safety is a problem because you begin to learn things about people.
Right.
Right.
And they don't tell you anything, really. You sort of come to all these truths by shuffling a deck of cards and spreading them out. And then as they fall out, the person who's sitting in front of you will give you, they will fall apart and tell you absolutely all the things that are going on in their life. And then you become dangerous because there's certain people who find out that you know things about them they don't want to be
Right.
public.
Now, have you ever, and this may be too personal because it's not like you're a therapist as far as you're protected, or clergy because you're protected under law. Has anybody ever told you about a crime or something that you probably should, or I don't know, maybe that's too personal to ask, but
Yeah.
it just clicked
Last
in my
week,
head.
it happens once a week. It
You
happens
have to
all
tell
the time.
about something. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I don't. My grandmother always said, if they tell you, if they pay you, you keep your mouth shut. If they don't pay
Like
you,
a good Italian.
you know, if they don't pay
That's
you,
a cultural
Yeah.
sensitivity.
yeah, you tell their shit all over town. So but it happened just last week.
Really?
You know, I had a really respected person. I can't even talk about it.
That's
I had a-
okay. Don't
yeah,
give
but
us
it was-
names.
it was
Don't give
it
us
was a
names. So
mess.
just give us the
It was a
story.
mess where it endangered the person I was reading the client. It endangered myself, and it endangered the livelihood of the person of which we were discussing.
Really? So, and that happens quite a bit. So they
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just confess crimes and other things
Yeah.
that could get them in real trouble.
Well, but also because there's a part of me that's like a really good bullshit detector. Like if you are letting on, and I know that you're lying, I will. You won't leave the room until I get to the truth. And it's not. And if you're trying to pull it over on me, I will go deeper and deeper and deeper and follow my gut to the point where both of us know the truth, and it's out there on the table. And when that time comes, it's kind of intense situation. So yeah, you get to learn a lot about people in that way.
So, oh, go ahead, James.
Oh, well, I was going to say, do you ever have, just a case where you won't even start the case? Like where you get such a feeling or
that's
such
a
a
good question. Yeah.
that you want to back away from it? Because that's one of the things that I've had people say before, like they just get such a negative feeling before they even begin.
Yeah.
Have you ever encountered any of that where it's like, this is just not something I want to get involved with?
One time. That happened one time. I was at the Mystical Paranormal Fair, and a woman wanted to speak to her mother. And I was counting down and getting myself into that place where I was reaching the mother's energy.
Mm-hmm.
And as I did, the vision in my psychic eye was of a creased face that was smiling in this way that was just creepy. And it was so heavy and so intense that I just pushed away from the table and said, I won't go any further with it, because there was a feeling of real evil. And I'd said to I was saying to the woman, I was like, there was such a feeling of evilness about your mother that I can't possibly go any further. And she then said to me that her mother had sold her into sex slavery, that her
Whoa.
mother had beaten and abused her, that her mother's husbands had beaten and abused her. And she said, so evil's the word to describe my mother. I said, why is she smiling about it? Why is she happy with it? And the woman said, because that's how we made money. And because my mother never once stopped it, and she was really proud of herself for being involved in it. And it's so twisted, I couldn't do anything else with it.
I was
had
gonna
to
say,
let it
and
Oh, that's a good
that
story. I
seems
mean, it's
to-
terrible,
go.
but
Horrible.
But that
Yeah.
seems to be one of those things that, hey, you could have gave me a heads up. You know, that
Yeah.
I'm trying to contact somebody that's maybe not going
Right.
to be a sense of closure.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting because I do know a few people that have had similar experiences where sometimes it's just I can't go to this certain area or I can't do certain things. So I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question.
it is a good question. I actually had a question before that, and I totally lost it.
It was that good.
It really was.
Yeah.
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 Well, so let me ask: when you do your readings, are you using the tarot cards, or are you just using your own personal abilities?
Well, the way it works is that you tune in.
Yes.
So first step is you remember in the '60s the tune in, turn on.
Yep.
And so first thing you do is you gotta really turn your psychic mind on, and I do that through breathing and sometimes counting down.
Okay.
Where I get my energy really low and rhythmically breathing, and then I tune in by using the tarot cards. And once I do that, I can tune everything else out. So it's a way of focusing my psychic mind by using the cards. And what's weird is that the cards, each 78 cards.
Yeah.
Every card has a definition.
Right.
Okay.
You lay it out in a spread. That definition changes based on its location. So it tells you a story. The story is all there. And then when you go deeper with your psychic mind, the cards start to speak to you. They really start to show you the details of what's happening, what the person is struggling with, and what the outcomes and predictions for the situation will be. Even how to fix it, which is why I'm successful, is because I don't just tell you, oh, trouble's coming. I tell you why it's there and how to get rid of it and how you'll be benefited by taking my advice.
Okay.
That's
So-
the big thing.
So okay, so that was one of my questions about the tarot cards because it seemed like when my experience of tarot cards is watching movies and seeing stories being told through that, and it's
Because
usually
those have never lied to us.
and that's always been told,
Mother has never lied.
Right.
and it's usually done as a foreshadowing gimmick, right?
Yeah.
In cinemas.
Yeah.
In cinemas. Bleh. But anyway,
We all
and
understand.
it seems like what you're saying is that the tarot card, when you use tarot cards, you're using it as both kind of as a fortune telling tool,
Yeah.
and then also you can tell something about the people's past as well.
Well, I mean, there's not much I can't tell you with a deck of cards.
Okay.
I mean, I will get right in there. If there's something about you that's important to bring your awareness to, show you the reality of your life, put a mirror in front of your face, then I'll find it in the cards. And that's why I'm successful at it, is because I help people see where they're really at right now so that they can make the changes they need to make to be where they really want to be.
There sounds like there's a lot of psychology in what you do.
So much
Yes.
of it.
So did you study any psychology?
No, I just lived a wild, crazy life. Which is cool too.
I have friends who are PhDs in psychology. I can't
Yeah.
wait to show them. Going,
And you would not believe.
why did you go to school?
you
Ken
would
could
not
do it with a deck of
believe
cards.
How many psychiatrists I actually read for on a regular basis?
Oh,
on a
I don't.
6-week
That
basis.
doesn't doubt. I
We
don't
just,
doubt
my
that.
husband and I just went to a psychiatrist office the other day and read for a gentleman who is a psychiatrist.
Good.
And I have a couple in Massachusetts and one in Rhode Island I read for, and then there's probably 4 or 5 total.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it probably because it's a form of therapy for them.
Huge
because
form of
Yeah,
you're,
yeah.
Yeah.
what I've always read and heard is you're not a good psychiatrist if you're not going to psychiatry yourself
Yeah.
or having some form of therapy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, our friend and someone we used to know, you don't go into psychology unless you're trying to fix your own self.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So when you talk about seeing it with your psychic eye, that's really hard for me to understand and qualify in my own head. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if, for example, if my vision is there's the backyard and we're in the basement of our home and I can see the backyard and I can see all that, how is that different in your psychic eye? How can you kind of describe that to me?
I'm looking at you,
Yeah.
but there's another image happening in my mind at the same time.
Like an aura or what?
Not like an aura, it's just like a film that's laid over, like a filter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's sort of like that. But like when I'm trying to get a hold of like someone's lost loved one,
Right.
I can look at the Marshmallow Man, but I
Ghostbusters.
But I don't see it. I don't see it. What I'm seeing is either pitch blackness because that person's in some sort of limbo state, or I'm seeing what that person wants me to see. I'm seeing a staircase. I'm seeing all these, and it just happens over. I don't even see that that's in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a hard thing to describe. But
I could imagine, and I was just, it's
Yeah.
because it's hard for me to put it together in my mind.
yeah, but the easiest thing in the world though is to hear.
Right.
To hear what they have to say. The hardest thing is to have a spirit that doesn't want to speak but wants to show you pictures. That's the hardest part.
Oh, explain that to me. What do you mean they don't want to speak? Like you can actually hear voices?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of things about that are interesting. One is that you can do it for spirits of people who've lost loved ones, and you can also do it for inhuman spirits, or entities, inhuman entities that want to convey a point of some sort. But spirit guides, things like this, most of my career has been built on a spirit guide that talks to me at night. Like I will get up out of bed 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe midnight, and I will have to write down everything that spirit guide told me. And everything from the way I dress, to the way I publicize myself, to the font I use on business cards, to the pictures I take professionally, to everything that's set up on my reading table came to me from a spirit guide that I sometimes wake up talking to.
Huh.
And it's in the moment where I can just zone out and hear her voice and understand what she wants from me. If I take that, it makes a success every single time. I've never been disappointed.
Wow.
With that in mind, one of the things that I find that really interesting, for people who maybe experience that or maybe encounter it for the first time when they're young, that you hear a lot, and again, pulling from movies, but also pulling from stories about this. When does that kind of gift become, for lack of a better term, a curse? Or what would that look like? I mean, as far as, because what I was thinking of, if we have somebody that's listening right now that maybe has a kid or something else that has something or is feeling a little bit different, how's the best way to address
This is getting
that?
serious, James.
I know.
Hold on, let me make a fart joke.
Thanks,
There
Jared.
we go. There we go.
At least
But
it
I
was
do
just
see
a
what you're
joke.
saying. I do see what you're saying.
I totally don't. I totally don't. What is it?
So I guess basically the
He
idea
has
of,
no clue.
One more time.
the idea of a gift becoming a curse. I mean, is that something that you sometimes worry about?
Yeah.
Or is that something that you've seen other people encounter?
Yeah, it becomes a curse when it happens at inopportune times. I'll be having a meeting with like really important people, and then you hear something like, he's cheating on his wife. And then you hear something like, they're really just handling you. They're not really here. They're not telling you the truth. They're handling you. And for me, who has a really bad temper,
Yeah.
and really I have no patience at all, to hear that in a meeting, I tend to throw a chair, I tend to flip a table, I tend to flip out.
Are you serious
Don't-
with people who are paying you?
No, gosh, yeah. I tell people all the time and then
He
I
has no
say,
patience and he showed up to do Bonehead. By the way, that's also going through my head when he's like, no patience? Holy
No.
shit, dude.
And Joe's like going, oh God, what?
But
I don't know which one of my collectibles
Don't touch
is.
the Carpenters. the band nor the
I
posters.
have no patience for like lies. I have no patience
Yeah,
for being
right.
handled.
Okay.
If I'm in a meeting and I'm taking if you're in a meeting and you're taking your time out to do it, and someone is BSing you.
Yeah.
You can say bullshit. Sorry.
Yeah.
It just I flip out. I can't and so that's when it becomes a curse. That when it's in an inopportune time and it negatively affects the situation, immediately, that becomes a problem.
Okay.
That's a problem.
So, important people. Well, let me ask, why would they show up and pay for the service? You don't do it for free, which is fine. This is how you make your living.
Right.
We were talking about this beforehand, right?
Right.
So, why would they come to lie to you? What would be? Why even bother showing up?
I don't know, but I think it's wildly entertaining.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Where does the
Here's the
where's
thing.
payoff?
Here's the thing: is they don't think that you're legitimate.
Yeah, they're coming in as like kind of like a, oh, this will be fun type
Yeah.
deal.
And so in my life,
I get it, but why other lie? Keep going.
in my work, like some of the truth exists with this person, another piece of the truth exists with the other person, and
Yeah.
the whole truth, the real truth is somewhere in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And when you start getting there, people really react in interesting ways.
Right.
And you begin to pump them and you get closer to it. And I will, in a reading, I'll tell you that's bull. Or that's superficial, go deeper. And then when we get there, the light switches and they get really odd.
Well,
No, that's
It's really,
true.
it gets uncomfortable. But in the end, if they stay with me on the journey of it, they've all, in the end, say, that changed my life.
I can see that because that's psychology, right?
Yeah.
We tell ourselves lies every day, and we
Yeah.
believe the lies about ourselves. And
Yeah.
if you start getting into the truth hurts a lot. So that makes complete sense
Yeah.
to me.
And
Even for someone who doesn't believe, that makes sense to
Yeah.
me. Of trying to get to
And nobody really wants to deal with the uncomfortable truth.
no.
Nobody really wants to.
Right.
There's sometimes I don't even want to deal with my uncomfortable truth.
No.
But that's why I'm do what I do, is that you get to that uncomfortable truth because that'll change your life.
Absolutely.
That'll do it.
Well, along those same lines, one of the things when you're communicating with somebody that has passed on, do you encounter that they don't know themselves? And what I'm getting at is, if you're speaking with someone that's passed on and they passed away believing one thing, how do you get? Does that affect the ability to get to the truth? I.e., if somebody asks you to communicate with their dead mother, going back to that previous example that ended poorly. But if that person felt that way, as it appeared they did, that what they did was still justified, is it still?
Sorry.
Is
That's
it
good.
still? Do you encounter when you're working with spirits that lie?
Oh, yeah.
People who have passed on that
Oh.
that don't mean to perhaps lie, but died.
But they do. See, that's the thing. You die with a preconception of who you are and what you did.
Mm-hmm.
That's your reality. Same
Yes.
thing as when you're living. It doesn't change.
Your perception is your reality.
perception. So if you're a kind of person, and I run into a lot of these spirits, who always thought you were young and fit and fantastic, no matter what you really were like.
Right.
Oh, I was a great mother. Then you'll show me being a great mother, and I will say to the person who's there to get the reading, "Oh, she's showing me this, but I'm feeling this." And then the daughter says, "Right, because that's my mother was a contradiction." You understand?
Okay.
So that's a big thing. That's I followed your question.
Yeah, that's
Right?
we're just
Did I do
saying-
it right? Did I do
Yeah,
it
no, that's it.
Our truth is that we're a-holes.
right? But you'd probably
And we'll admit it.
But you would probably come back in if I were reading and you were no longer with us. I hope that's not ever the case. But if you were there, you would probably
We got season 2 to do, Ken.
you would probably want to show me good times. You'd
Yes,
probably
right.
want to show me humor.
I'd want to make you laugh.
You'd probably try to push back the fact that growing up was hard, or that you missed your grandparents the way you did, or that
Oh my God, you're going to make me cry. Stop
finding
it.
love in relationships
Yeah.
was difficult, like one that you could really who
Right.
got your drift and supported and loved you. You would probably kind of damper that and show
Yeah.
me all the other stuff. But at the end of the hour, I would have got to the harder things that would have positively affected whoever is there, your child who's there to speak to her father.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
yeah. So what? And this is kind of a different episode of Bonehead for people who are watching. So we do pop culture. We do a lot of movies, but we do all kinds of pop culture. What movies do you think have gotten it right when it comes to what you do?
None of them.
Well, all right. So let's go through our list.
Not a damn one.
Let's rip them apart as we go.
Yeah.
You ready, brother?
And here's what we'll do. I will try to give as many examples of how close it is to the truth.
That's okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to be negative Nancy.
We going tarot cards or are we going?
Let's just do. Well, we've got the Exorcist out here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
and
she
that's-
plays with a Ouija board. She ends up possessed.
By the way, Ouija.
Mm-hmm.
In my research for this interview, I watched the 1980s classic Witch Board.
He
Nice.
says classic. Kevin Tenney is I follow him on Facebook, the director. I'm going to tag him in this later, but keep going. Classic is a.
So let's talk about Ouija boards. Do you pronounce it Ouija?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was in the movie. They made a big deal out of the fact it's not called Ouija. It's called Ouija.
People will be an asshole over anything, won't they?
Yeah, and I'm
They'll
like,
just be real pricks
they
over
really made themselves out to be a dick in this movie because they're
Yeah.
like, it's not called Ouija, it's called Ouija, and the fact that it's
Yeah.
a combination of two words.
Yeah.
Now, how long has? Because they like I'm gonna spat out every fact that they said about Ouija boards.
Go ahead.
Because I thought it started out as a board game for Parker Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But it was talking about how it originated in 540 AD, and there's been variations of that. Is that true?
I think that every form of spirit communication is as ancient as death itself.
Right, because I mean that's been since the dawn of time. People have always been
Yeah.
the afterlife. Is it there? If there, where do we go?
And it wasn't always Ouija boards, you know. You would sit around a table and we could tilt this table if a spirit spoke to us the right way, they say.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So there's always a method of it. Even scrying in a mirror or in a window with the black curtain behind it. These kinds of things have been around forever.
Right.
So yeah, I think that Parker Brothers did a great way of like really putting out a great map for it and all these things, but I don't think there was ever a Ouija board type real setup that far back. I could be wrong and
do you use that in your sessions?
no, I don't use it in my sessions because it's never worked for me. See, because I'm very realistic. Now you would think that okay, he's a tarot card reader and he kind of is easily led by things, but I'm not. I will put my hands on a planchette and the thing will not move. It won't move, and I won't push it. My husband and I bought several different Ouija boards or message boards. They call them. And we would sit there looking at each other like dicks for like 15 minutes. And then I was like, what about the popcorn? Like, what about, let's go get something to eat because this is jacked up. It's never moved for me. I don't subscribe to it. Now, I do think it says a lot about a person's mental state to be moving the planchette and what they develop the answer.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it was. That's how I always thought about Ouija boards. Is it's basically the people moving it themselves, but usually it's 2, sometimes even 4 or 5 people, and it's you don't know who's actually moving and what are they moving it to. It's all about in the mind.
You're right. It says more about the person and who they pick.
And now look, I'm also very open minded. If you can set me down and show it to me myself, and I will, and I can participate in it. And check everything, make sure there's no magnets or whatever. I'm down with that. I will accept your. I will accept your
I like
belief.
the fact that you're skeptical.
But if you're sitting there by yourself, and it's moving, what's coming out is very interesting to me. Do you understand?
Well, I think what I always found interesting.
I do.
We mentioned Parker Brothers earlier. Is the people, and I've met several. They're like, oh, Ouija boards are pure evil. I'm like, they're made at the same factory as Monopoly. And I've seen more relationships end because of Monopoly than I ever have.
We've had some. My Star Wars Monopoly board game has caused.
Game, you mean the game you cheat on?
I don't cheat. I
totally
win.
cheat.
I just win.
See already.
Some of us are just winners,
The harm
and we
done.
leave.
I would
winning.
believe
Irreparable damage.
I was going to say I would believe that Monopoly caused the Exorcist. to
I
happen
have a
before I
sister-in-law who was still pissed before she was ever my sister-in-law about a game 12 years ago. James knows what I'm talking about. It came up again the other day about how I cheat.
Totally cheats. He totally cheats.
He doesn't cheat.
But
We'll read the cards later.
one of the story arcs.
Don't talk about my mom.
Other than the movie Ouija, I refuse to call it Ouija.
Yeah, I do too.
It's Ouija.
I mean, for no other reason than to piss somebody off.
Yeah.
But can I tell you though?
Yes.
Just as a side note to that, we were talking about the Ouija boards, and I guess the root question was, are they inherently evil? Right?
Right.
I think you can make anything evil.
I was about to say,
anything.
is anything in here?
And so we're talking about The Exorcist. I think that's a really over-dramatized version, obviously.
Yeah. You should see Witchboard.
Which I watched. It was on Vudu free 1 month, and you can watch the. Is that a trailer? You can watch the trailer, and then so I went no further. But,
That's a good choice, my friend.
I
That's
passed.
a good choice.
I don't know. I ended up with some Kirstie Alley film or something. But anyway,
Check out his follow-up, Night of the Demons. Slightly better.
yeah. Well, I think I may have seen that one, maybe. But anyway, the people can pervert, change, and make anything evil.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
But the one thing about the Witchboard movie, I hate that I'm bringing this up for a serious conversation, but it was like the boards are like every time they're made, a spirit gets attached to it, and that's who they're talking to. It's like 1 or 2 spirits get attached to the board as it's made, and he mentioned it being at Parker Brothers, like just assembly line, boom, boom, boom. Every time somebody dies,
they've got demons that go on the Monopoly board, and they've got the demons that go on the Ouija board.
it was just truly. I was like, if that's reality, imagine like once you die, you go to Parker Brothers.
I mean, but that's almost the same basis of every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God!
It's the
Don't
same
get him
thing.
started.
Yeah, and you haven't heard that podcast.
You haven't heard that podcast.
I went off on that.
There's a
Yeah.
15-minute.
Oh, well, then let's skip it. Can we?
Yeah, let's move ahead.
Sorry I brought it up.
Because every time a microwave goes off.
No, I did. I heard that one. No, I did. It hit me. Yes. Yeah. But anyway, I think it's the same sort of little thing that people tell themselves to try to understand other stuff. And I think, if anything, the judgment of it says more about the one who's doing the judging, because, clearly they have a belief that it's more powerful than what it really is, or somebody who's like really stable that just says, "Oh, I want no part of it because I don't believe in it." That's okay too, you know. But I think it's all in what we tell ourselves.
I would, you know what? Even though I'm not a believer and damn near anything, and it's harder for me the older I get, so I'm probably letting too much information out now. I think I'd love to see something that was real, like that. It was like a table move or something. I'm looking at you because I feel like you and I are simpatico on this. Not to leave our other best friend out of this, but I think I'd love to see something like that.
Oh, I would love to see something like this. Just some.
But I'm such a damn skeptic.
Right. If you don't believe it, you've probably seen all kinds of stuff, and you just block it out.
Maybe. I don't know. That one's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. I don't know. Anyway, what's another movie?
Well, let's bring up a classic.
Yeah.
Wolfman.
Yeah, the Wolfman. They use tarot cards.
They
in
use
Wolfman.
tarot cards in the Wolfman.
Good gypsies.
As opposed to the bad ones, but
Yeah,
keep going.
Thinner.
Yeah, Thinner. That's a good movie too.
Oh,
Thinner
yeah,
is
we
based on
love
a
that.
Stephen King
I
book.
wouldn't mind having a touch of the Thinner for like 3 months.
Yeah, me too.
just enough to stop wearing Spanx would be fine. But
Well, good luck.
no, but I think that's a really interesting film because a lot of people don't even recall. And as I recall, the remake with Benicio
Del Toro and
doesn't feature that.
No.
It doesn't even feature that.
No, the Wolfman
That
doesn't.
goes back to what was that Lon Chaney?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And the
So-
Boneheads are impressed that you're...
Yeah.
Well, nothing excites me more than impressing 3 men on a couch. My day's made. But
Oh, wait till we turn the cameras off.
so, well,
I need
where
an
are we
adult.
going? Well, no. I think
Where we're
that's
going,
really
we
cool.
don't need roads.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And we were talking about earlier. We were talking about people under the stairs.
Yes.
And what I like about it is I love seeing tarot cards being represented on film. What I don't like about it is sort of the power that they convince they have over people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's card stock. You can change what these things have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an agreement I make with everybody I read for right off the bat.
Right.
Is that if you have faith, and you put in concrete action, and you persevere, you are determined to never give in or give up, we can challenge or change anything those cards have to say. And you have to agree to that before we go any further with your reading.
But that sounds like you're being kind of a life coach.
That's what I'm always told. I mean, I have
Right?
one really exceptionally intelligent woman. She's a CFO of a non-for-profit. Really great professional lady. She says all the time, I don't believe in tarot, but I believe in Ken. Because Ken is a life coach. He can show you things about yourself and your situation you just can't see. He uses a deck of cards to open it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I like seeing tarot being represented in films and things, but not the sort of authority it gives over human beings. I don't really like that.
Okay, so you don't have any kind of beliefs of like a predestination?
No, I think that's free will. I think, if...
Because I totally agree with you. I
Yeah.
don't think I woke
Yeah.
up and
There
I
is no
wanna...
such thing as fate.
Yes.
Well, I believe that some things are fated. For example, I think that, certain people are placed in certain situations. I think Hitler had to happen. I think that things like Dolly Parton couldn't have done anything else with her life. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think a
Yeah, I guess, but
big
is that
leap
more
from
of a-
Hitler to Dolly Parton, but I'm going to do it. I'm gonna
Is
do
it? Is it really?
Yes.
But I think,
Hold on, let me go ahead. Don't you question Dolly.
no question, but I think
That's better than what you could
there
have
are
went with
certain
that. Yes.
things that are part of who we are that we create the creation of. We actually make it happen. But I think the fate of it lies in the spark and the desire to be it or to do
Well,
it.
and that's actually an interesting point because there's I'm going to veer off topic and bring it back. I
Oh,
promise.
shocker.
But there was a book written about statistics of sports, and
Holy crap.
Are you bringing that Back to the Future too?
No, I blank on the name of the book, but this is relevant. It actually talks about the visual acuity you had to have to be a successful baseball player over a long span of time.
Yeah.
You need help
It's
with
a
that?
very, very low number. I hope he squeezes it hard enough. I don't want him to be halfway. Anyway,
He's not talking about the pillow.
I was just like,
the point being, though, was that they
actually
use
hit
that
myself
as
in
an
the nose.
example of the fact that there is such a thing as gifts and fate. Is it the only thing that you could do if you had that, like his 2010 vision or whatever it is play baseball? Of course not. But if you have that, is your career going to be longer than, I will say, mine would be? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but don't
it's
you
gonna
think
be
that's a
better.
genetic just
Well,
an
that's what I'm saying.
accident as far as you have a genetic predisposition to be able
but
to
there
do
also
these
has to
things?
be the desire to do it, though, right?
Yeah, that's
Well,
what I'm saying. Dolly Parton was born with a certain... So I think that does get to the point that we do have that idea
got a
of
thing,
fate.
but he's gonna keep
that-
I
going.
was gonna say I was
No, go
predestined.
ahead.
I was predestined to be a ballerina. I just chose not to.
And he
Yeah.
can't, you cannot walk correctly. You know that, right?
I don't know what
I
you're
mean,
talking
there's
about.
limits to all
I am
that.
graceful
Yeah.
as
Mostly on that
a
age.
gazelle.
Yeah. But I agree. I think that there's got to be the some sort of
Yeah, yeah.
genetic disposition or what have you when it comes
Yeah.
to things like that, or even to be a ballerina.
So, I mean, I do think there's that element of fate that's there. There's that... I mean, I was born with this.
I just didn't like the footwear.
I think it's two-part, really quick. I think, and because I teach this in my communications class, yes, you may have a disposition to be able to do math. However, someone along the way told you could do math, and that helps. Or someone along the way told you were worth nothing, so you seek out people that make you feel what? Worth
Worthy.
nothing.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, right? So if you have a idea of what you are, you seek out people to reinforce that idea.
Or
so
if you don't like
back-
it, you seek out people
Right.
to prove them
prove
wrong.
them wrong. But
Yeah.
back to you, Ken. So you may have had a disposition towards that, and then your grandmother told you could do that, and it just flourished from that. Does that make
Well,
sense?
in a weird, yeah, that does. But what is interesting in my life is that I didn't do it professionally. I did not think that this was going to be a professional career. But so what I did was I went to school and I, graduated and I did extended education and I started working. I did salon and spa work. A lot of people, booked their massage appointments and things through me, hair appointments, highlights and things. And I served tables and I bartended. And then one day, my life completely stopped. I hurt myself at work in a way that I damaged or really fucked up my spine.
Right.
And I started losing spinal fluid, and I was 286 pounds, had hair down to my shoulders, and it was fall out. If you just looked at it, fall out. Had a beard down to here, and I couldn't walk for a while because I had to make sure the collagen set so I couldn't stop leaking spinal fluid. And when it was said and done and the smoke started to clear, the question was, now what will you do with the rest of your life? I was 28 when it happened. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? And so in a way, I think that somehow was fated. I had to do that in order to get me to where I'm at now. There was a cause and effect of that I wasn't clear about, but now looking back at it, it's very obvious to me that that needed to happen in order for me to get where I'm at now. But in the moment, it was panic. It was just panic of like, what else on earth can I do? All I can do is shuffle cards. All I can do is, these readings. That's all I can do. And they laughed at me, like, you're never going to make a living at that, So I think that is somewhat fated.
Okay,
That
yeah,
I
was
could
gonna say-
total empathize with you. And I don't know that I'll go into it here, but
Yeah.
later on we'll have a drink and talk. I'll tell you my story.
Okay.
So no, I can totally
Yeah.
empathize,
It was almost
especially
like-
2 years ago. I can
It was almost like the
It
universe
helps.
said, we're going to break you. We're going to break you. If you're not going to live true to who you really are, I'm going to break you to the point where you have to see who you really are. And, that I feel like that's part of it, yeah. So I do believe some things are fated, but not to a point where you can't change them. Because I could have easily worked at a Subway or something.
Right.
A library or something, maybe.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. So what's another crappy one? What's one that aggravates you? What's a movie that aggravates you? Or maybe there's a couple.
No, I mean, there's, like, in terms of, I don't know. None of them really aggravate me.
What?
I just like movies. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we
They
do
really
too.
piss me off.
Well, so here's an example of what may set you. That may be an example of crappy. I can't believe I'm bringing this one up.
I can. Whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'll leave you.
you're not
Peter
gonna-
Jackson, the director of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. One of his first movies is Dead Alive.
Which in America is called Dead Alive.
Yeah, and
Everywhere else throughout the world it's called Brain Dead.
Brain Dead.
Okay.
They foreshadow all the events that are supposed to happen about his grandmother being turned in. It's his grandmother being turned into a zombie.
Bit by a Sumatran rat monkey.
Sumatran.
As one does, right?
He
It's a really
goes
good-
for a
it's a
tarot
really
card.
good movie,
He
I
goes for a
promise.
tarot card reading, and she lays out 3 cards.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Is that a normal? Because you know what? For the most part, when I watch these in movies, it's always like it looks like solitaire. They're laying out so many cards, but they just did it in 3 cards.
Yeah.
Have you done it with 3 cards?
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now the cool thing about it is like what you're talking about. There's spreads, right?
Oh, they're called spreads.
There's spreads.
Okay.
Learn something new. Check.
Yep.
So what happens is you get 3 cards. Usually it's past, present, future, and you read that.
Yeah.
And so that's good. But there's something inside of me that when a situation is exceedingly complicated, I have to do just a 3-card spread and allow the cards to tell me what they are. I don't like any kind of preconceived idea about what this is past, this is present, I just look into it. And I think that's dealer's choice, really. But the past life readings I do really intense past life readings where I deal 16 cards.
Yeah.
And then there's some like divorce issues and things like that. I deal 9, 10, 11 cards. But then there's some people who are just like, this is all going wrong. What is the reason? What is the cause? And simple as it can be, 3 cards. It's like, this is it.
Wow. So depending on what your client wants, that's how you determine how many cards to draw.
Not really. They just need to tell me they just say to me, I am concerned about this. And then we organically go from there. I dealt a spread last night. Last night a woman said, what is my life path? Like, what is it I need to be doing? And I started with 5 cards.
Okay.
And I looked at them and they made no sense to me. And I said to her, because I'm really realistic, that makes no sense whatsoever, so let me sit quietly with it. And then I started to shuffle them into a pattern. And the more I pieced them together, it became a Celtic cross. And then I lay out more cards to kind of clarify everything else that needs to happen. And that really broke everything down in a really great way. So it really is dealer's choice.
So okay, this brings up another question I have about tarot card reading. In some of the scenes, they'll lay out the cards and go, "Oh, this one's upside down," so it means something else completely different than what it was if it was face side up. Is that a reality?
Yeah.
Or
Reversals.
reversals. Yeah, either way.
Reversals. It's like, say, The Fool. The Fool, which is about childlike faith.
Or as nobody
new
calling
beginnings, new beginnings and things like this. He's taking shots at you. But in new beginnings and things like this, and being somewhat protected by spiritual guides and things like this, when reversed, it could be a resistance to start new beginnings. It could be a resistance to having faith. It can be a resistance to accepting outside influences that keep you protected. And it could be, that you maybe even have some stagnant energy in your life. So I don't read reversals on a regular basis because I think there's enough negativity in the deck that I don't need to make it even worse by flipping things upside down. I'm obsessive compulsive too. So I like everything to sort of be in line. So, yeah, that's a realistic thing, though. It happens. And in the case that I'm reading someone and a card happens to be reversed, I read it as a reversal. But that very rarely happens because of my OCD. Sure,
Is this basement driving you crazy with the OCD?
No, I'm okay. Well, I watched your other podcast and your other videos earlier, and I was like, great. This is going to be an experience. But I'm really comfortable. I'm really happy.
I'm glad.
I thought about bringing a protective sheet, maybe laying over the couch.
Well, you should have.
Oh, yeah, I had 100 jokes about that. By the way, I was going.
Yeah.
Don't bring in like a UV light. and
Bro,
shine
I was
it on
thinking like a
anything.
Jackson Pollock painting, but
Does look like a Jackson Pollock painting.
and but there you
We
have
got to
it.
get ready for the show.
Okay.
Well, we're almost out of time. So, if someone, I want to go ahead and give you some shout outs. So, if someone wants to book you, how do they do it?
You go to tarotbyken.com,
Okay.
click on the booking contact page,
Mm-hmm.
or you can go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Ken Boggle. Very simple. Or call or text 859-229-4833.
You are a brave man.
That's my real phone number.
I know you are a brave,
Yeah.
brave man.
Yeah.
the Boneheads are not giving out their phone number.
I will. Mine is 867-5309.
Oh,
Jenny.
Yes.
Who do
Klondike
I
5.
Area
So
code 555.
that's how they do it.
Yeah.
And you work out a price or whatever it is depending on what they want to do, right?
Mhm.
Right. And you also do some of your own podcasts. You want to talk about that?
Well, we're at a place where we're determining what we will do with Ken Boggle. I've been doing the podcast Ken Boggle I've done it for 4 years. We're determining sort of what we're going to do with it. Will it go back to Spreaker? This should happen sometime after October. Or will it be on an FM radio station where you can tune
That's
in?
fascinating. So you've been doing the podcast before you decided to start doing this professionally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
It
you
was
also do coffee.
Coffee with Ken Boggles.
I was gonna say I got a Keurig machine, but
Yeah.
Keurig?
Keurig, I don't know how to pronounce Japanese. Gosh.
So yeah, I do that, and that's usually Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern time.
Holy shit, dude! I can't get up and do that.
Well, I'm having a difficult time with it also, so we're thinking about changing that to cocktails with Ken Boggle, somewhere around the 5:30 time mark.
the Boneheads would love to do cocktails.
Well, we should do a cocktail hour.
Yeah, we don't have anything to add. We'll just drink and say stupid things.
Fantastic! I love that, and we can try out different Ouija boards. Maybe we'll purchase some that are guaranteed to be haunted. And we'll do a little MythBuster action.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see how this could possibly go wrong.
3 out of us, I don't know that our producer would be on board with that, but the other 3 of us are okay with
Yeah,
it.
well, maybe we just take pictures and tell people about it later.
Tell people about it
So,
later.
yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, of course. I want to talk about the Mystical Paranormal Fair. That's the Mystical Fair of Lexington.
Yes.
Happens every month at Whipple Court. That's 1084 Whipple Court here in Lexington.
Is that off Tate's Creek?
No, that is off Nandino Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah, in Newtown Circle.
Okay, gotcha.
Newtown Circle.
Newtown Pike. Something like that. So anyway, but for information, go to mysticalfairlex.com. And then the Scarefest.
Yeah.
Talk about Scarefest.
We talk about Scarefest all
every
the
episode.
I'm a board member and a sponsor and a co-host of Scarefest Radio, and I'm hosting the Midnight Horror Movies, and we just did Hooker with the Hacksaw the other day.
How did it go?
Oh, it was.
We couldn't make it.
It was an experience that I can't find words for in the
I
moment.
will say that I read some stuff on Facebook about a certain actor.
I just can't even get into it.
I can't
Do you
either.
know
I
why?
saw it.
Do you know why? Because I did my part. I introduced the movie, and then I went and got drunk.
Yeah.
I left the building, and I went and got just loaded, and then I came back right as the movie was ending, and I was like, "Okay, thanks for coming." Wasn't that an experience?
Did
How
a lot
long
of
of a
people
movie is
make
that?
Huh?
How long of a movie was it?
Hour and 15 minutes maybe.
Oh, okay. I was about
I
to
was
say.
gonna say
an hour
that's
and 50.
impressive that you got loaded in an hour and 15.
Yeah, and I walked. So no. I walked to Old Hookers. Anyway, Scarefest. Where do we end up?
Well, you do that, and we moderate at Scarefest.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, if people always want them to come down and say hi to us,
Yes.
walk up to us, you're gonna have a booth, right?
Yes, on Stars Row, it's going to be Tarot by Ken booth, and then this year I'm doing a seminar at. I'm doing Coffee with Ken Boggle live at 11 a.m. where we're going to talk trash about paranormal celebrities. I know because I know lots of that junk. So we're going to do a little Wendy Williams moment, and then
It's a really good obscure joke.
Yeah.
And then at noon, I'm gonna teach a seminar that's really popular that I do called Tarot, Intellect, and Intuition, that explains how important it is for proper reading to be both parts intellectually and intuitive.
Okay.
So that's going to be Saturday morning at Scarefest. But for information about Scarefest, go to thescarefest.com for tickets, information, and more of that stuff. September 29th through October 1st.
And
Right around the
there's
corner.
I was saying there's great guests this year. There really are.
Oh, yeah.
We've got.
Yeah.
It's really. I'm
Absolutely,
excited.
come out and see us doing the Robert England panel. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. All
And
right.
the Mystery Science Theater 3000
Oh,
panel.
yeah.
Yeah, James will be doing that one.
Jason Kassir from the Tales of the
From
Crypt.
the
All
Crypt.
these people.
Yes.
Good
Also,
group.
also Buster Bunny.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
Know that.
Yeah, he's Buster.
It's a very meta episode.
The
when
more
he,
you know.
Hang out in the basement and you'll learn so much.
And
No.
We have such wonderful
Things
things
to show you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it was a very meta episode of Tiny Toons when Buster Bunny did a episode as the Crypt Keeper.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yes.
Okay.
Or not.
Or not. Skip it.
Or not.
Skip it. Joe says skip it.
Or not.
Okay.
All right. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming by. We've had a blast. This has been great. I've been Joe Lewis.
Tater tots.
Spot, James.
And
Ken Boggle.
that's been scary. Shit. That beep. I can't. I'm Scarefest, man. I swear they ought to write me a flipping check. Anyway,
You.
Yeah.
I love them. I do it for free.
I do too. I do too. All right. So that's been Bonehead. Thank you so much. We are out of here. Toodles. We ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, good. You could
Are
have told
you
me to go.
recording?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh.
Somebody make that, just one of you, make a beeping sound.
What part of one do you people not understand?
What
One-
the hell?
hey.
She told us one person. that
Last
could-
I heard,
she knew that we would all do it.
and last I heard, 1 is the loneliest number.
That you'll ever know.